And ladies and gentlemen, we are live for the 49th ever episode of the Best Phone Plans Podcast. I'm Stetson.
And I'm Dennis.
And in this episode, we're talking about some upcoming carrier deals for Black Friday, keeping you in the know. We're talking about kind of having a chill Thanksgiving conversation. And we have some great news for fiber, talking about kind of Verizon versus AT&T and some deals that Verizon has inked on the back end with Amazon that we didn't talk about previously. So with that said, Dennis, as always, how you doing?
Doing good as always. Let's just get straight right into it, okay?
Absolutely.
I want to start off by talking about something that's a little bit old, but I found interesting. Verizon has partnered up with Amazon to use their satellites that they're going to be putting up there for internet systems and rural broadband.
Yeah, I think this is a great partnership, right? Because who are the satellite internet providers right now? Well, actually, I don't know the legacy ones. You probably
I got you. Real quick.
What are they? I was like,
so you got Viasat and HughesNet,
okay,
which no one loves, and then
okay, why not? Like, is it? It's got to be good, right? It's affordable. The speeds are fast, right?
No, HughesNet and Viasat are probably the worst in all aspects from a performance standpoint. From a pricing standpoint, they're much more expensive. They have data caps that are very small, and the overall performance is just terrible. You'd be lucky to get like 25 megabits per second consistently with them.
Jeez. All right, so they're expensive and they're slow, so nobody likes them. And are they using low Earth orbiting satellites, or are they kind of
not.
like? Yeah, so their satellites are really, really high above the Earth. That would influence your ping a lot, I imagine, and kind of that reliability.
Plus ping.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's rough. Then you got the newcomer that everybody's know and loves, which is Starlink.
Yeah.
They're expensive, but they're good for satellite.
I mean, compared to Viasat and HughesNet, Starlink is kind of in a different league, right? They're giving you pings like 29, 35 milliseconds is what I feel like I've seen.
Let's just say sub 50 milliseconds.
Sub 50. That's a great general term. All right, sub 50 millisecond ping, huge improvement over 1,000 milliseconds, and you're looking at peak speeds over 300, and they officially say like 200 tops, like 100 to 200.
And just because more of a realist, let's just call it 100 megabits per second reliably.
I would say that is fair. Like pretty consistent, reliable 100 meg. Yeah, and that's awesome. It is expensive though, $100 a month, and you need to buy the $500 dish, which apparently costs or the previous edition cost $1,500 to make. So they're actually trying to improve that cost with the new one, which is a little bit more square. But yeah, you need to pay upfront for that, but you're getting way better speeds and performance. And it sounds like Amazon is going to be kind of the fourth player here. Is that right?
Yeah, so they want to put their own satellites up into the air.
Would this be under like the Blue Origin kind of branding, or is this?
Yeah. Right, it would be under that subset company.
Bezos, he's up to a lot of things, yeah.
But what makes this interesting is, so like Starlink, right? They're their own thing. They're doing their own play, right?
Yeah.
Well, what makes this sort of interesting is the overlap that's going to happen. So what Verizon's main goal is recently has been focusing on fixed wireless. We've seen it with the release of their LTE product, and we've seen it with the release of their 5G millimeter wave product, correct?
Correct.
Well, Verizon still has a targeted demographic that's going underserved that likely won't get to see the glorious, beautiful ultra wideband 5G, right?
Yeah.
I'm talking rural America, places where they might have a DSL footprint if they're lucky that hasn't been touched in decades, right? Well, what Verizon wants to do is they want to work with Amazon to help provide broadband to those areas that they wouldn't be able to service in the more traditional senses like a Fios deployment or their millimeter wave deployment. It's supposed to help extend their fixed wireless solution to give those customers broadband.
Yeah, I think that's a great play. I mean, really, it's kind of this interesting race where covering that last 5% of the population is challenging and expensive. And so it seems like we're getting these kind of hybrid approaches where carriers are trying to offer fixed wireless solutions. So you can use the cellular towers to get an internet connection. And also we have Starlink and Amazon kind of coming at it from the low Earth orbiting satellite perspective to offer better speeds and performance than the high Earth orbiting satellites. And yeah, pretty much all of these deployments are expensive. Running fiber is also very expensive, but I think the goal is to try and get as many customers covered as possible. So I'm kind of happy to see that.
Yeah, and I will just say I don't know what the economic term is. I've long forgotten, but basically the general census is it's really easy and affordable to get yourself 80% of the way there. It's always that last 20% that's super expensive and where you're paying the premium on things. That rule applies with tech. It also unfortunately applies with internet connectivity. That being said, though, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on this more so than anything. Like, do you find this to be an acceptable solution to trying to get coverage to those very rural Americans?
I think at this point, any solution is better than no solution, which is kind of what I feel like we had before. And I think the partnership makes sense, right? Where, Verizon can easily partner with Amazon to help kind of provide this last mile coverage and to get out into the rural areas. And I think, it'd be interesting to see someone partner with Starlink maybe to bundle things together, get more services together. Like, I know Verizon's pushing their LTE home internet and things like that, but what if, I guess they partnered with Amazon, so they wouldn't do Starlink, but like, what if AT&T partnered with Starlink, right? And if you were an AT&T customer, suddenly you could get a discount on Starlink internet or something like that, which I don't know, would be nice to see. But what are your thoughts, Dennis? Like, how do you feel about this kind of partnership that we have going on between Verizon and Amazon and what it's trying to do?
I don't think the partnership's necessarily a bad thing. I think having redundant layers of connectivity is important, going back to previous episodes where I talked about the sake of redundancy. However, what I don't want to see is a situation where it's like, okay, Verizon goes to deploy a macro site, and instead of running fiber backhaul to said site, they just rely on, say, the satellite for their backhaul, right? Like, that's a really crappy. I'm not saying satellite's not reliable, but that's a really crappy thing to do. It's definitely like a second class experience to like a traditional, well optimized setup, right? Plus, I was going to say too, it's not like these companies don't have a significant amount of capital that they could be putting into deployments, and they're also getting a major stimulus thanks to the infrastructure budget that Biden's passed, right? There's billions of dollars that are going into deploying, internet connectivity. I want to see our government fund bucks going into something that actually is a long-term, reliable, permanent solution, real infrastructure, which by that I mean I want to see fiber. Fiber needs to creep deeper and deeper into people's communities, even if it's not fiber to the home, fiber to the node, right? You can get fiber to the premise, the better it's going to be for the long-term needs of Americans. And I'm starting to sound like a politician, but anywho, long story short, I think it's cool. I think that it's great that these two companies are partnering because I don't want Starlink to dominate the satellite space by themselves. Competition's good. I just don't know how I feel about Verizon so heavily focusing on this fixed wireless solution and ignoring their other aspects of their business.
Sure. Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, their fixed wireless is very new, right? It did come out in 2020, so just last year. And I think they will, I think, kind of continue to focus on that. I think my gut instinct is they're waiting for C-band deployment right now to really boost capacity and to be able to offer that in more locations. I mean, given what T-Mobile's been able to do with T-Mobile home internet on their spectrum, granted it is their, 2.5 gigahertz frequencies as opposed to the C-band frequencies, it just leaves me optimistic. I think T-Mobile's doing a lot with what they got, and I'm hopeful that we can get Verizon or see Verizon and maybe even AT&T doing something more, right? AT&T doesn't have anything really. It's really like Los Mobile is their solution and no one really knows about it. So,
well, changing gears then from this topic, why don't we do a little bit of a competition comparing like-minded internet providers that use the same technology?
Sure.
So, i.e., for example, I talked about Fios and you brought up AT&T. Who do you think is doing a better job at giving an overall experience to the customer? I'm talking about from a speed, pricing standpoint, customer service standpoint. It's considering all these things, right? Who is the one that you should really want to have if you were buying a home type of deal?
That's a great question, Dennis. And I'll say I grew up with Verizon Fios. Like it hit me the other day. I have literally not had symmetrical fiber as an internet provider. I mean, I guess when I was in college, that college was a little iffy. I'm not sure what was servicing that, but I grew up with Verizon Fios, and I think our speeds were like 20 by 20 in 2011 or something like that. And then once I figured out what internet was and like how to increase our plan, we bumped it up to like 100 by 100, and then recently like a 300 by 300, which has been great. And then I moved to Longmont, where we have municipal fiber, which has been outstanding. So I've really only experienced Verizon. I would say I really had a positive experience. I love the symmetrical speeds, which I think is very important, underrated feature. I interacted with customer service a couple of times, called them up to see. I actually called them. So we were getting 200 by 200. And I was like, hey, I noticed there were new plans and the pricing is actually lower. Like, can we switch to those and get the better speeds? And the rep was like, yeah, unfortunately, those are new offers. Then as you've talked many a time about the new customer promos, trying to get you to switch. But the rep was kind enough to actually bump our speeds up from the 200 by 200 to 300 by 300. So we got just like a free boost in speeds. And that was really nice. So I think overall positive experience. AT&T, I've heard great things about their fiber, but from my experience with their cellular network, I'm a little hesitant, mostly because of the back end. The website I felt was pretty janky on the consumer side. I didn't feel like the options that I wanted were easily accessible, and I would feel concerned something similar would be the case for AT&T fiber. So I think just given my limited experience and the interactions I've had with both, I would go with Verizon Fios. But then, as I know you've had very different experiences with Fios, from your installation to the peering agreements to kind of the consistent performance you would expect. So what has your experience been with Fios, and what would you choose, Fios or AT&T?
Sure. So I'm going to take a couple steps back and try to answer all questions asked. First, I just want to say that as far as pricing goes, because this didn't come up, AT&T is typically cheaper than Fios by a pretty significant margin.
Okay.
During the promotional periods, at least. So like, for example, Fios's lowest tier offering that they have is 200 by 200. It's $40. AT&T's lowest offering for most markets is 300 by 300 for $35. $5 difference, I know, but still. And that type of trend continues onward. For example, if you want to get full on gigabit from AT&T, $60.
Jeez. When
Fios,
I was calling Verizon, I think it was like $120.
Well, Fios gigabit is $90. So it's a $30.
I think it must have been like 90 the equipment, because we'd have to like rent a new modem or
they
whatever.
Include the modem rental on the gig tier.
Really?
But, yeah.
Gee, existing customers, man, they're getting ripped off. That's all I'll say.
Well, things have changed a little bit since you've had them, but I was gonna say for a comparable price to what AT&T gives for gigabit at 60, you would get 400 by 400 from Fios for $65. And then don't forget, we had talked about this on the show, but AT&T actually has tiers that go above gigabit. Fios does not. So as far as pricing and speed tiers offered, AT&T has the clear win. Now, as far as customer service goes, I don't have much experience dealing with AT&T's home internet customer service experience, unfortunately, so I can't speak for them. What I can speak for is their wireless side. And yes, although their billing can be frustrating, AT&T has always done me well. Verizon, on the other hand, customer service is abysmal, and ever since I got it to be working in a somewhat reasonable fashion, I haven't wanted to call them just because I'm so scared to.
What do you? Oh, because you have the Fios internet,
right?
Like, what issues have you had?
Well, when I was first getting set up, remember my latency was all over the place, and I definitely wasn't getting my speeds, and I had to get that thing buried, and all that other good stuff when it came to getting set up. Once it got kind of set up with like a permanent line and set up in a working solution, I'm afraid to call them for anything else because it's working. So I don't want to call them. Also, I will just say that as far as the overall network goes, Verizon is notorious for having poor peering agreements. For people that don't understand what that means,
it's like roaming.
Yeah, well, it's not like roaming. So the internet is like a spider web, right? Everything's interconnected, right? At some point or another, you're going to be relying on someone else's infrastructure to get you from point A to point B, i.e. Netflix might have servers on the West Coast that you need to connect to. You're on the East Coast. At some point, you're going to be going over the transit to, say, Lumen's interconnect to get connected to that Netflix server, right? Well, Fios and Verizon have terrible peering agreements in that they don't pay for enough bandwidth with the people that they do work with, and the type of people that they are working with aren't necessarily all tier 1 ISPs, which is a real shame. It ends up causing it so that you're not able to take advantage of your full beautiful gigabit connection if you're connecting to these, depending on these peering routes. And latency also will tend to be a lot higher because you might be taking a longer route to get to the destination. For AT&T, from what I understand, they have pretty decent peering agreements, especially since AT&T has a much larger footprint as a tier 1 provider. So a lot of times you're not actually going to be even going off of AT&T's core infrastructure because they're the ones that were providing that backhaul and various things for these various companies and services. It's the same reason why Comcast, even though they're not a tier 1 ISP, you'll find that a lot of times pinging various things like Netflix, for example, the latency will be lower because they have a partnership with Netflix to host all their servers within their data centers. But okay, I got really nerdy for a second. Circling back, you asked me who I would choose. I would probably pick AT&T U-verse all day, every day.
Yeah, no, it sounds like I didn't know coming at the price to performance standpoint and kind of what they were offering with that. So yeah, I mean, I guess if AT&T U-verse was available in my market, I would 100% look into them and see what the options were in my local area.
Well, Stetson, you have no reason to pick AT&T U-verse. You have Nextlight.
Yeah, it's 100% true.
Which for fun, let's add 2 more people into the mix real quick. Okay.
Okay.
You got Nextlight as a choice, and let's throw in CenturyLink fiber, because CenturyLink does something interesting that no one else that I know of does. They do price for life.
Okay.
You're laughing.
Yeah.
You're laughing, but I'm serious. If you get signed up for a plan, like instead of CenturyLink screwing you for being an existing customer, like if you get a good deal, you get to keep your price.
I don't know. I guess I feel surprised that isn't usually the case.
It's definitely not the case.
That's
not
crazy.
Not in the home internet biz anyway.
Wow.
So CenturyLink, their pricing varies, but I know for a fact that they always have at least an introductory offer of like $45 usually, if not less. And they always tend to offer gig for like $60 as well. But unlike AT&T, it's not a promo. You actually get to keep that price.
Yeah. I think my friend has CenturyLink in Boulder because they don't have municipal fiber there, and he's been very happy with it. He actually switched from Comcast, and the Comcast people were like, "Oh, why are you leaving?" And he was like, "Because I can get faster speeds for less." And they were like, there's no response to that, So yeah.
So yeah, you'd pick CenturyLink in that scenario?
I think CenturyLink, I'd be down with them, to be honest. Like I would have to look at the options, what's available in my market.
Well, that's the thing. They're not available. That's why we're kind of living in a somewhat hypothetical world.
I guess if I was choosing between CenturyLink, AT&T U-verse, it sounds like AT&T might even be cheaper for their fiber offering. Their symmetrical gigabit anyway.
At least when you're on promo.
Yeah, so...
But remember, it's a promo, so it expires and you eventually pay more.
Yeah, I would do the cost-benefit analysis, and I'd probably go with CenturyLink. I mean...
Fair enough. Now, throwing something out there before we switch gears, out of all the options I just mentioned, who do you think has the better bundle deals?
I would hope AT&T U-verse does. I would imagine they're bundling in like pretty good TV, maybe something related to their plans. Do you get a discount on?
Yeah, AT&T does a fantastic deal where you get their cell phone service and their internet. And I want to say, someone correct me if I'm wrong in this chat that's listening, but I want to say it's a total of $30 discount. I think it's like 15 off your AT&T plan and like 15 off the internet, something like that.
Gotcha, 15 on, yeah. I feel like, AT&T, they would be the carrier to have the best discounts. I mean, they already do a phenomenal job with their military veteran discounts on their cell phone plan side of things. So I think they would probably have the best internet bundles as well. And I know Fios does bundle some stuff in, but
they're doing $30 off. They're doing $30 off right now if you get Verizon. And in fact, I think I could grab the mailer if you really wanted me to. But for obvious reasons that I've mentioned on this show, I refuse to get Verizon wireless postpaid, regardless of the discount being offered.
That's interesting. Yeah, I always associated the discounts on like you get the internet and the TV bundle, and you get a discount when you bundle them all together. But
I feel like those days are gone. I mean, we talked about this on the show too when we were talking about Xfinity Mobile with Comcast, right? Like the most aggressive discounts have been between internet and cell phone service.
Yeah, you're right. And I feel like people have or don't have landlines anymore. Like that's becoming less and less common.
I mean, if my job required me to have a landline, then I would have a landline.
But yeah. Well, I feel like I feel like it's becoming less and less common. Like it's becoming less and less necessary. I think people in our generation are going to start with their cell phone, and if for whatever reason they like need a landline, they'll get a landline. But I think it's just not as necessary.
It's one of those things where it's like I don't want it to just die, because there are use cases like older security systems are an example of one that I can think of, because my parents have an older system from Guardian that needs like a landline. But like I know that there are jobs where like I know there are jobs that require it, and also in rural America. Rural America especially is places where you're going to find that a lot of people still have landlines just because cell phone service doesn't reach
exist there. Yeah.
But okay, we talked about fiber providers. Let's change gears to an industry that I know Sneed hates, and I think you have a little bit of a vendetta against: big cable. All right, so you've had experience with Comcast. Have you had experience with any other cable companies?
No.
All right,
we didn't have cable growing up, and yeah,
you've had limited experiences. I've had many, but okay, I'm gonna put three on the table because they're the most well known. Ready?
Yeah.
Comcast, Spectrum, Cox.
Oh God.
Out of these three that I just mentioned, which would you choose to use if they were your options?
Wow, this is like between a rock and a hard place, Dennis. We've got bad, worse, and worst in terms of options to select from here. I would go with Comcast. Not because I like Comcast, but because I like Xfinity Mobile. I think their mobile service is outstanding, great value, affordable, and I think the bundled savings I could get from that would be an overall better deal and experience than getting sucked into the Cox vortex or going with Spectrum. So I think, yeah, that's what I would go with. Sorry, Mark just commented something really funny in the chat. Mark, thank you for joining us live for this live recording of the podcast. Mark says, I can hear Sneed screaming right now about Cox. Yeah. Dennis,
So,
what are your thoughts? I mean, you presented these terrible options. Have you had experiences with these companies?
I've had experience with all of them except for Cox.
So that means Comcast and Spectrum.
Yes, Spectrum
because
is my girlfriend, and then Comcast because Pittsburgh. But anywho, there's a few things I want to say that I'm surprised that you didn't consider or take into consideration. First off, even though they're cable companies, these cable companies are investing in fiber. Specifically, ironically enough, Cox in a lot of their markets has started to get away from DOCSIS to provide their internet service and going straight to fiber and doing TV via the oh my god, I just had a blanking moment. But basically, internet-based TV services instead of traditional DOCSIS cable boxes. That being said, Cox is really expensive, probably the most expensive out of the three that I mentioned, and also probably the least reliable in the place that they're still doing the whole traditional DOCSIS play. Spectrum is actually not terrible option because they're the only one out of the three that doesn't have a data cap.
Oh, I did not know about that.
Yeah, Spectrum doesn't have a data cap because of their merger. It was part of the agreement that they couldn't impose a data cap. But from a pricing standpoint, it really drastically varies about where you live if they're a good priced option. But like Comcast, they're pretty massive, and they do have a cell phone service as well. We talked about it on the show. In fact, if you're a two-line customer, Spectrum actually has better mobile pricing than Comcast.
Oh, that's interesting. Are they doing like a better deal right now for two lines?
Yeah, and remember too, Spectrum does say that they have priority data, and they had a couple different options as far as their cell phone service went. So I'm surprised that you didn't touch on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like here's why. Xfinity Mobile has actually been awarded for the customer service. Like they have good customer service. They're known for having good customer service. I've actually called them a couple times now, and I had one bad experience on a weekend where I was just getting like a robo like in a loop where I would say, contact a rep, you can get help through our online portal, and then I wouldn't actually go through to anyone. So that was with my friend's account though, that was having separate issues. So I'll give that a pass. Other two times I've called, it's been, they give me a call back within a couple of minutes. I'm on the phone connected in like 37 seconds. Rep was pretty knowledgeable and friendly about the questions I was asking. So yeah, Spectrum isn't known, I don't feel like, for having good customer service. So that's why I was leaning Xfinity Mobile right now.
Gotcha. But that being said, I think I would also pick Comcast. Only because
And yeah, you're right, by the way. I just want to throw in the Spectrum Mobile, this deal. It is $30 a month per line with 2 or more lines.
yeah,
And more or less the same plan as Xfinity Mobile. So that is a very compelling option. But again, it's kind of about the overall experience. So I think customer service, I'm weighing in a little bit more here. But yeah, I don't know. Dennis, it sounds like you would go Comcast too?
I would go Comcast as well, though, and here's why. One, at least in my market, from a pricing standpoint, they offer some of the cheapest internet that I've seen from a cable, well, just an internet provider in general. I mean,
Yeah.
200 megabits per second for $30 is pretty freaking good. And then they were doing the deal with 400 megabits per second for, I want to say it was 40. Plus, they were doing the whole $30 discount when you get their mobile off of gig. So you could get gig for like, I want to say it was like $60. Maybe it was 50.
That's really good.
So they were doing some really aggressive deals when you were doing the bundles. But more specifically, even if we take bundling out of the equation, we just talk about internet, which is more so the focus here. Comcast has many faults, including their pricing after you're no longer in a promo. But what I can't fault them for is the actual performance. They are very good about going above what they say they're going to sell you. So, i.e., when I had gigabit, right?
Yeah.
Before they even came out the 1200 megabit tier, right? They still over provisioned 1200. So I was getting 1,200 down, 40 up. When they bumped it to 1200, it was actually 1,400 down and 41 up. And yes, I know this is very rare. Like, you would need special equipment to actually be able to utilize speeds above a gig. But this same trend also plays for the other speed tiers, i.e., their Extreme Pro 800 meg really is like a gig. So you're getting like 960 down and like, I think it's like 17 up or something with the over provisioning.
Yeah, they are really good. And, shout out to Xfinity for doing that. I wish the downsides for me are that data cap. Like, I could probably do it, but it's something to be mindful of.
The data cap is something that's common amongst not just cable ISPs, but there are even fiber ISPs that do it. So it sucks. And I really feel like that's a stance where the government needs to come in and just say, like, this is
just like, guys, what are you doing? Like,
but what was I getting at? Oh, the other reason why I was going to say Comcast is because they are pretty good about letting you use your own equipment, which is something I appreciate. So I don't have to pay the BS $14 rental charge.
Yep.
So for those reasons, pricing, everything else, and most importantly, the actual service quality, I would pick Comcast just because they did a pretty solid job. There are some regional providers I'm going to bring up real quick, though, that are kind of like my PSAs of try to stay away from.
Oh, wow. This is a don't go. I was like, oh, Dennis, like being a kind recommending, this is a recommend you do not sign up. Avoid at all costs.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're like literally your only option and for some reason you have to move into this location, I would try to pick a place that doesn't have this person as a provider. And they would be as follows. Blue Devil Cable, very, very small, but their prices are outlandish. They have a data cap and they offer poor quality speeds. So Blue Devil. Armstrong Cable is a regional provider. They have data caps, although they've increased them to be somewhat reasonable. And although they do have places where they do offer fiber where it's great, if it's one of their traditional plants, though, stick away from Armstrong. And then lastly, Blue Ridge Cable. A lot of blues in this, but do not go with Blue Ridge. Do not go with Blue Ridge Cable. They're probably the most expensive cable provider I've seen. They have old school Armstrong prices, i.e., like gig is like $200 type of deal.
That's like, crazy.
Yeah, it's not good. Moving down from that, let's talk about wireless providers where there's real competition. T-Mobile Home Internet versus Verizon Home Internet versus, and I know we talked about it, but AT&T doesn't really have an offering, so I'm going to say Los Mobile.
Great questions. This is so regional. It's almost kind of silly. It really depends on coverage. Like at my apartment, I T-Mobile Home Internet all day, every day, just because it has the fastest speeds, like way faster than Verizon or AT&T could do. But that said, if I'm in a Verizon 5G ultra wideband coverage area, easy Verizon 5G home internet. Like that product is outstanding. I've seen some reporters, I want to say on Light Reading, saying they're getting literally gigabit speeds down. Like it's basically an ISP at that point. Sure, there's going to be fluctuations, probably a little bit less reliable and consistent depending on network congestion and how many users are connecting to that cell site. But the bottom line is millimeter wave has the capacity. That's outstanding. So I would, if that's an option, all day, every day, Verizon 5G home internet. If I'm looking at the LTE options, like I think T-Mobile's very strong with their N41 coverage. I mentioned I would go with them here in my apartment. I think Los Mobile is probably going to be the best for travelers, right? If you're an RVer, I think the AT&T network is going to give you that kind of
let's assume
this
is not for travel. Like this is like you're sitting down at a house type of deal, just because it would eliminate.
I think right now, Dennis, honestly, I would go T-Mobile. They're not giving any speed caps or restrictions on their plans. You're getting truly unlimited data, and I think they're more likely to provide coverage. So that's their Nokia gateways had problems for a lot of people. But at $50 a month flat, all tax and fees included, I think it's a great deal. And I could easily see people, honestly, even here in Longmont, where we have municipal fiber, if they wanted to save the $20 extra a month, they're not, super into data use like you and me and streaming on YouTube. I could easily see them going for it. So I'm going to go T-Mobile home internet right now. How about you? Like, I know you've had some negative feelings about T-Mobile, and we've talked with a couple of guests who have had issues with T-Mobile home internet. But yeah, what are you thinking right now?
So okay. If it's a good N41 area, because we have to add that caveat. If it's a good N41 area, then T-Mobile is a no-brainer. The performance that you're getting off the T-Mobile home internet is more than satisfactory when it's a good N41 area, because you can realistically expect anywhere between 200 to 600 megabits per second for the down and maybe 10 to 50 megabits per second for the up, which is very respectable speeds and performance, similar to akin to that of cable. And then the ping times, if it's a good area, are usually less than 25 milliseconds ish, which is respectable enough for most use cases, with the exception of very latency dependent tasks. From a pricing standpoint, T-Mobile's home internet is the best priced out of the three options that we mentioned. They're cheaper than Verizon, and they're cheaper than Los Mobile Access. And as you mentioned, they don't have any type of data caps or anything like that you have to worry about. So T-Mobile home internet is good, and the main problems that it does have are going to be resolved in the semi-near future, as we talked about with the rumored new gateway that's going to be replacing the current Nokia trash can. So that's going to be a big help in solving a lot of the problems with that product. That being said, if we're talking about a true, from a reliability standpoint, and let's just nix N41 for a quick second here, because N41 doesn't necessarily reach in all buildings.
I think that is kind of the caveat with this is your fixed wireless solution is super location dependent. I mean, even Mark here in the chat is saying T-Mobile is good at home. If T-Mobile is good at home, it's the way to go for now. But he's agreeing with you, Dennis, with that caveat. You need to be in a good N41 area, so you just need to test it out.
Right. So with that being said, if we're just looking at it from an LTE standpoint, because you can still get T-Mobile home internet with the LTE network as well, right?
Yeah.
So if we're looking at it from an LTE standpoint, then it's really, really clear that Los would be the best. And the reason why I say it from that standpoint is because Verizon's home internet product, when using LTE, I believe caps at 50 megabits per second. T-Mobile has a very weak LTE-based network that hasn't been seeing much love. But AT&T has an LTE network that is so robust and impressive that it literally trades blows at times with T-Mobile's N41 network. So Los access in that scenario ends up being a good option. Although I will say that Los does have a 2 terabyte data cap, but I think that is plenty for most. I would say 99.9% of people.
100%. I mean, considering Comcast caps at 1.2 terabytes, getting just straight up 800 gigabytes more is plenty. I will say, I don't want to dismiss Verizon's LTE offering. Yes, they're saying average speeds are around 25 megabits per second. With a max speed up to 50, and the upload is 4 megabits per second. It's a much slower connection than their 5G product. But I will say it's a little bit more affordable than Los Mobile, coming in at $60 a month as opposed to $80 a month. And I think for some people, maybe that's a little bit of a nicer option, saving that extra money per month. And they're including the equipment, whereas with Los, you needed to go out and purchase a $300 Netgear Nighthawk N1 or an N5 or M1 or M5 to get the service. So just
I agree with that sentiment. My only problem is that the speed caps, like they're kind of like yes, they are good speeds, but they're speeds within within the realm of like if that's the speed cap that it is, then why not just give a crack at T-Mobile Home Internet at that point? Because I'm sure T-Mobile LT can at least perform at 25 meg for most people.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it depends on coverage, speeds, availability. Yeah, I just want to throw it out. I mean, it is like if we look at 1 year of service, like $500 cheaper than Lowe's Mobile because you're saving on the equipment costs and you're getting that lower monthly rate. So I think Lowe's is outstanding, and I would probably go with them too. But it is, they have to charge a premium for that kind of premium service. So
true.
There you go.
I know that was something people sort of requested from us, asking us to talk more about traditional ISPs. I feel like the key takeaways here are fiber, AT&T. If you're finding like a house or an apartment, you want to look for AT&T fiber. Yeah. Comcast for cable, which shouldn't be too hard to find considering they're in 38 states, I believe.
Yeah, I think I was just looking. They cover 112.2 million people. Like, odds are you're covered.
Yeah, and then lastly, for fixed wireless, we're going to agree with the sentiment that T-Mobile is currently providing the best offering.
Best for most, I would say Verizon ultra wideband 5G if you get it, but they're covering like 0.001% of the population. And even then, like in the areas where you can get Verizon 5G home internet on the ultra wideband, odds are you have a fiber option because you're in a major city and it's way more competitive there. So that's like kind of a toss up. So yeah, I think I agree with the sentiment. T-Mobile home internet overall number one product right now, with the caveats we mentioned, like totally depends on your service area and location.
Now I know this is going to hurt your soul, and I don't even know if it's worth considering, but let's compare DSL providers real quick.
Whoa, Dennis, why would you bring this up? Jeez. PG-13, Dennis. We're trying to keep this PG-13.
Okay.
Bring up DSL providers.
That's it. And also, sorry.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So CenturyLink, Frontier, Verizon DSL, and AT&T DSL.
Okay, I'm going to be honest. I don't know anything about any of these. So I'll just say, based on our fiber talk, AT&T sounded like they were offering a great product. I'm going to make an assumption, and you know what they say about assumptions. I'm going to assume that AT&T's DSL product is probably pretty decent. How did I do, Dennis? You're kind of making this weird face, which is making me very uneasy. Maybe I switch. Verizon. Oh God! Oh, it got worse. Multiple choice. What was option A?
I don't remember the list, but I'll just give you a hint. The clear option is CenturyLink.
Really? Well, yes. Tell me more. Why is CenturyLink the clear option after AT&T was so strong in the fiber department?
All right, so AT&T, I mean, DSL speeds are going to vary very drastically depending on where you're located within reach of the actual like center or the DSLAM. Long story short, though, CenturyLink, for some of their DSL footprint, did actually put in work in upgrading things to the point where they started doing things like bonded pairings and was able to achieve, say, 50 megabits per second to even 100 megabits per second over DSL in some areas, which for DSL, that's very impressive and good. That being said, for almost all of Verizon's footprint, they did nothing. So your highest speed, if you were lucky, was 3 megabits per second. And the same can also be said with AT&T Uverse, where a lot of their DSL footprint is sub 10 megabits per second, basically. There are areas where AT&T was able to offer 50 megabits, but there's a data cap. And then Frontier is just absolute garbage. So
that doesn't surprise me.
So that's one thing. Then we get into the topic of pricing, where AT&T is the most. That's a lie. Verizon is the most expensive from the DSL providers, followed up quickly by AT&T, with CenturyLink being the cheapest. I think they only charge like $40, regardless of it's whatever the speed is that's offered. It's just $40. So if it's 3 megabits per second or 100 megabits per second, you're paying $40, and it's the whole price for life thing. That being said, is DSL, but if we're talking about DSL,
of DSL, yeah, you have me convinced. CenturyLink sounds like they're actually doing pretty well. I mean, with their fiber offering and now with their DSL.
Well, they're selling off their, if you remember, we talked about this. CenturyLink is in the process of selling off all of their DSL footprint to Apollo.
Oh.
Remember we talked about that?
Apollo will be known for the slow speeds.
Well, Yeah, because remember we talked about CenturyLink is going to be consolidating, just focusing on their fiber product with their Lumen brand, and then they're selling off all their DSL footprint to Apollo, that third-party like investment firm.
Yeah.
But okay, we covered all the techs, all the different techs. I guess one final question here.
Yeah.
Out of everything that we just talked about, right? Let's just say you lived in a very magical world. You actually had 4 choices. All right.
Whoa.
I know, right? 4 options for home internet.
Would that increase the resale value of my home?
I would assume so.
Yeah, probably by a lot.
But let's just assume you live in a magical world, okay? You have AT&T Uverse available to you, Comcast, T-Mobile home internet, and CenturyLink DSL. You have these 4 options for your home internet. Which do you pick and why?
Great question. Sounds like CenturyLink DSL would be the cheapest, and you do know I love being budget and frugal.
I would
$40 a month.
If you picked it.
And tenants will physically hurt me. Not a threat, just, it's a fact of life. It happens. It's actually part of the package if you're reading the fine print. Dentists will come and hurt you. Not just me, so it's not, it's not exclusive. Then next up, I guess T-Mobile home internet would be the next cheapest, $50 a month for whatever N41. What kind of N41 performance are we getting at my imaginary new house, Dennis?
Whatever is there, but I will just say AT&T is actually cheaper than T-Mobile internet.
Really? Didn't you say they were like $60
for gigabit, but $35 for 300 by 300 symmetrical?
Oh, wow. That's great to know. Thank you.
And then also Comcast. Don't forget Comcast, $30 for 200 meg.
Yeah, but the upload on that is like what? 10? 5?
Well, actually, wait. Depends on region because they just recently improved it for the West Coast, which is what you are. It would be 10 megabits per second. So.
Oh, wow. I'm
lucky you.
Yeah. All right. So let's start crossing things off here. Obviously, if I've got these 4 options, CenturyLink's DSL is gone off the table. Don't want to get hurt by Dennis. Otherwise, no, I'm kidding. It's gone. Okay. I need the upload and I need the download. Next option, T-Mobile home internet. I'm testing it out now. And let's compare that to Comcast. Okay. $50 a month gets me pretty good download and way faster upload. I'm getting like 35, 40 upload right now. And so let's say I'm getting that. That's way faster than 10 megabits per second upload. And
well,
for what I do,
sake of comparing uploads, let's just say you can get gig for $60, 1,200 down, 35 up.
If I could get gig for $60, I would probably do that because it's going to be way more reliable. But I think the clear winner here has got to be AT&T Uverse. I mean, even the 300 by 300 plan at $35 a month, that is half of what I'm paying today and would easily meet my needs, especially because even though we're paying for gigabit, apparently our Wi-Fi router, it doesn't support that through the hardwire connection. So I'm only getting 500 by 500 anyway. End of the day, AT&T Uverse, I didn't know about you going into this show, but I'm very impressed with what you have to offer. And I think I would probably sign up. I mean, I'd crunch a few numbers, look at the different speed tiers, but yeah, I'd probably sign up with AT&T Uverse in this kind of scenario.
That was the correct decision. I would have basically accepted anything except for you picking DSL if you gave me a reason. But yeah, I agree with that sentiment. There's no reason not to pick Uverse. And lucky for you, Stetson, they do force you to rent their equipment so you wouldn't have to use your router. That's bad. So that's a thing.
Oh, they force me to rent their equipment. I don't know how I feel about that.
Yeah,
I like using my own equipment. If Comcast lets me do that, no. But the upload just kills me. I was just telling you the other day, I literally backed up an 8 terabyte drive. Okay, I hit Google's upload limit before I hit my ISP upload limit because my ISP doesn't have one. So there's that. And yeah, overall, I mean, this goes to show, I think, how powerful having municipal fiber is as an option for residents. So I encourage people to consider that. But yeah.
Changing gears from this beautiful topic, Stetson, I know you really want to talk about carrier deals. So why don't you go ahead and take your foot forward and we can go into that now.
Yeah, just, some friendly conversation about that. I'll add my screen. If people are watching this, they can take a gander. Oh, goodness gracious. Let's see if this works.
I just wanted to ask, by the way, have I been lagging this whole stream?
You've been lagging a little bit, and I want to say that's on you, but I know we're both hardwired into a symmetrical gigabit fiber connection.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me if Fios was failing me.
Acting up.
I don't have a backup like I did before. In the past, I could just switch over to the Comcast connection.
I think I've been doing pretty well this stream. I'm happy, not lagging out. I do have a system preferences option, so let's click on that. Oh, it says
maybe in the future I'll just use the lowest mobile hotspot.
Dude, that is risque. Let me
Really?
see if this
You see my
works.
AT&T performance, bro. 60 meg upload, like 160 download.
All right, it's not gonna let me pull it up because I have to restart because all my system permissions are reset. Bottom line, though, you can basically get a free phone from any of the major carriers. Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. T-Mobile's aggressively pushing their Magenta Max plan, as you'd expect. Verizon actually did something very interesting, Dennis. I don't know if you would
What'd
have seen
they
this
do?
coming. They made their promos available for Verizon Start Unlimited customers.
Ooh.
Yeah, so that's right. So before, if you were Start Unlimited, you weren't getting anything. Verizon has now thrown you the bone, and you can actually take advantage of these same great promos where you trade in your device and you get credits, which is great. Unfortunately, from the time the iPhones first came out, I do believe their value has gone down. I'm just looking at Navi's website right now, and it looks like existing customers are getting up to, what is that, like $340 of trading credit. Whereas before it was like you would get a bunch of trading credit, like the full $800. But new customers, you're getting a free phone pretty much anywhere you want to go. T-Mobile is doing the $1,000 switcher promo, so you get like they'll help you pay off your old devices. I think AT&T just relaunched that as well. So it's competitive. Our friends, speaking of Xfinity Mobile, they're doing $200 off all iPhones right now. You just need to add a line, no trade-in required. And I think, Dennis, that's one of my favorite deals, right? Where you can get a deal on a phone, you don't have to trade anything in, and you're getting a great deal on wireless service. Like, that is a banger. So that's kind of what I got from the big three. We got Xfinity Mobile in there. Oh, wow. Thank you, Dennis. Yeah. $200 on 5G phones. So that's pretty much what we're talking about with all the iPhones. And yeah, also, if you bring your own device, you're getting $200. So it's like perfect. You could literally, Dennis, you could buy a new iPhone from Apple, get it unlocked, not have any financing, take it to Xfinity, and still get the same $200 credit, which is awesome.
And just to be clear here, it's not just the iPhones. Android also included with the Xfinity deal here, as you can see.
Dang. Yeah. So I'm really happy with that. And our friend Mint Mobile doing their, of course, buy three, get three. And did you actually end up getting this? I was talking to you about it the other day.
Yes. So I guess this is where it's the side tangent where we just transition smoothly. I have decided to purchase Mint Mobile.
What did you get? So if you go to their plans, they got
I got their 15 gigabyte plan.
Usually $25 a month, but now you paid $75 and you
it was
got
like 90 something dollars after taxes,
tax and fees. Yeah, they do hit you with that like regulatory fee because you are paying upfront for that. So,
but yeah, I ended up buying this. I look forward to trying it out. We said lots of good things.
Do you do
about
eSIM or do you do physical SIM?
I am having them mail me a physical SIM. I thought about doing eSIM, but I opted not to because my plan is to test it in the Galaxy S20 Plus, since that's the phone I use on Magenta Max to make.
Oh, but then is that as eSIM? I'm kidding. I'm shooting shots at Samsung. Yeah, that was definitely the right move.
Yeah, I got a physical SIM. I could always convert to eSIM if need be, but decided to offer physical SIM. I'm looking forward to trying it, seeing how it goes, seeing how bad deprioritization is in my market, because I have a sneaking suspicion that it will probably be worse than your experience in your market, since your market has so much capacity.
Yeah, it's all over the place. It's awesome.
But if it's good, I honestly I've come to the conclusion in my mind that I'll probably just cancel my T-Mobile and just go straight to Mint.
What? Whoa, Dennis, you took advantage of T-Mobile's third line free promo, jumped through so many hoops, are spending like at least $140 a month with them right now. Mm-hmm. You would consider switching to Mint Mobile? Is that true? Did I just hear that correctly?
I would. I mean, why pay $145? Yeah, why pay $145 a month and be unhappy with T-Mobile when I could just do Mint, pay eventually
$25 a month.
Yeah.
And be unhappy with T-Mobile still.
and be unhappy with T-Mobile still. Yeah. I mean,
damn.
It's a thought. It's a real thought.
Look, if it works for you, I would encourage you to do it just to save money. I'm all about saving money, Dennis. That is my philosophy on this channel. Help people save money on their cell phone plan. You are a primary customer. Dennis, what are you paying for? 3 lines on Magenta Max. Dennis,
$145.
How many lines are you using right now?
2-ish.
Okay, 2-ish. you could like, how much would it cost you to get 2 lines of service on Mint Mobile?
I wouldn't. I would just reduce myself down to 1.
That would be smart. Damn, Dennis,
Because
you would save over
can
$100 a month. You
can
would
I
save
say-
$1,200 a year.
Can I say why?
Yeah,
'Cause
why? Absolutely.
Unlike the past where I was relying on like say digits with T-Mobile, which was a big feature for me,
Yeah.
I now have 2 Los Mobile lines. All I have to do is just make one of the Los Mobile lines my
Your data
digits
line?
Yeah. No, my digits line, where if I'm, because like I'm going to use an example of something that might seem irrational, but it's something that I do. When I order Grubhub, for example, I don't like using my personal number on Grubhub.
Sure.
I use a different number. That way, if for some reason or another something happens where I would need to get rid of that number, it's not a big loss to me. In the same vein, I'm very careful about giving out my actual number. Like you have it, but if you went off and gave my number to someone without my consent, I'd honestly be a little bit pissed off because it's tied in with a bunch of 2-factor authentication and stuff like that. And it would be a really big headache if I had to replace that number for.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me just delete something from the monthly newsletter real quick.
Wait, what?
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, okay. But long story short, I have a secondary. I always use a different number that's not the main ones for those.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. It like can cut down on spam and stuff. Like your personal number is nice and clean, and then you have this other number that just hits up with like whatever the heck, car warranty claims. Exactly. IRS wants you. The Grubhub guy.
eBay is a better example of this. Like when I sell stuff on eBay, I always use a number like that, or same thing with like other stuff. So anywho, I would put my main number that I use on Mint if it ends up being a good experience, because I know you've had a good experience and I do like the company. Honestly, I would love to support them with my fun bucks because we had Aaron on. He was an absolute champion of a man. You guys didn't get to hear a lot of stuff that we talk about behind the scenes, but the way they treat their employees is something that is truly admirable. And
just look at like their careers page. I think that would show them. They're awesome. So
I just have a lot of respect for the company. And no, this is not a sponsorship in any way. Like I legit just went out and spent my own money because
the funny thing is I probably will end up signing up as well, just to show people how to sign up. Like how this is like a genuine question. Like how did you find the sign up process so far? Like you just ordered the SIM kit, right?
Yeah, it was like 2 seconds. I let 1Password fill in my card info, bada bing, bada boom, got an email, should have it in 3 days.
Sweet. Free shipping?
Yeah, free shipping.
Wow. Dude, that is great. So I just want to, for less than the cost of 1 month of service on T-Mobile, you just got 6 months of service on Mint Mobile.
Yeah, the only thing I will say is I didn't do unlimited, and the reason I didn't do unlimited is because of the video throttle.
Yeah, you like your 4K video?
It doesn't have to be 4K. I just don't want my speed to be capped at 1.5 when trying to watch something, because then it's infinite buffer on YouTube.
Yeah, sure.
But I will just say, and I know no one from Mint's probably listening, I really wish there was an option, even if it had to be more expensive, for a plan that actually gave more data and removed the video throttle. So like, i.e., if there was, so they have their unminted plan, which is not like really an unlimited plan, which is fine. But like, let's just say they sold a 35 gigabyte plan. Yeah. That's a amount of data that I don't realistically see myself going over unless I tried. If they sold a 35 gigabyte plan with no video throttle and say 10 gigabytes hotspot, and they charged $40.
Okay.
I would have bought that.
And Dennis, how much do you think a VPN is that gets around that video throttle?
I mean, I have one. It's NordVPN.
Problem solved.
Problem is, Stetson, is that Netflix does not play nicely with all VPNs.
Well, you would consider then ExpressVPN, channel partner. But no, I seriously, I've heard they're pretty good with Netflix. I am trying out, actually, it sounds garbage, but it's this VPN. What is it even called? I don't think I have it on this phone. It's like some generic VPN term. They partnered with Dashlane, and so I got Dashlane for some password management to try them out.
Oh no!
I might migrate over. No, not Dashlane. Why not?
Dude, they've had multiple data breaches.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe
it's time to go to 1Password then. I've been browsing around. I just tried them out for
1Password is the one that I use and have lots of confidence in. I have over 400 different unique passwords stored in 1Password, as well as like my PNC checking account and various credit cards. So,
okay, maybe I'll give them a try. But yeah, I think that's kind of what we got for deals. I guess we should always love giving Visible quick checkup, see what they're doing, see what they're popping in.
While you're doing that, I'll take a quick peek at US Mobile.
Dang. You can get a pair of AirPods Pro, gift card worth up to $200, Beats Studio Buds,
From
Pixel
Visible?
Bud. Geez, they're giving out earbuds with your phone service. That's smart.
So T-Mobile actually sent me a text yesterday. You're eligible for an iPhone 13 Pro and AirPods second gen on us with 30-month bill credits.
Nice, Dennis. I'm sure that's what you want.
Since you brought up
30
AirPods.
months of locked into T-Mobile goodness.
Honestly, I'll say one thing. If T-Mobile was able to hook me up with like the insider discount and I could just reduce my account down to like
oh my God. Yeah.
I would stay, but I don't know.
Leaving does give you that opportunity to come back.
Exactly the reason why I'm considering it. Although if I go to Mint, it doesn't count. You have to actually go to a different.
Yeah. What you would consider doing is like port your primary to AT&T prepaid. That'd probably be a good fit for you. I mean, you already have AT&T, so
I have Los AT&T, AT&T, and then let's add on AT&T prepaid. Sure.
I don't know, like something cheap but good. Maybe US Mobile and Verizon, something like that.
Oh God, no. Dude, do you not remember my deprioritized experience on Verizon?
Well, you're not using it for data. You're using it for calls and texts.
Fair.
Right? I was just thinking, like, what's a cheap, reliable call and texting service? I don't know, $10 a month for that. Either way, that's kind of it. Dennis, Thanksgiving, you do anything fun?
Yeah, great question. So my Thanksgiving is going to be nice and boring, and that's the way I like it. I'm going to be
like that.
I'm going to be going to my aunt's house. There might be like 10 to 15 people max, and we're going to get all the fixins, turkey, stuffing, green bean casserole. My mom will usually make these sweet potatoes with like marshmallows and like brown sugar, and it's like really good.
Dangerous.
And then for dessert, there's usually this like I don't know how to describe it. Basically, it has like pretzels as like the base for like the crust.
Okay.
And then it has like this like
what is Jello, it adjacent to?
Jello and like strawberries inside of it with like cream up top.
It's like a pie. It's like an open faced pie.
Yeah.
Wow.
But the pretzels are the crust. It's like a
is that allowed?
Like a pretzel salad. I don't know what to call it.
That sounds delicious.
It is. It's one of my favorite desserts. It's very good. There will probably be some cookies there too because Christmas is just around the corner. So I'm sure my aunt will bake cookies. And then, of course, we'll end the evening with some Maxwell's House black coffee.
Okay. Wow. Are we sponsored by them yet? We should be reaching out.
No. It's honestly a terrible coffee, but it brings back many memories and it's cheap.
They got that sentimental value on lock.
That's what makes it good. No, like honestly, it's by all intents and purposes, it's a terrible coffee. It's a cheap coffee, but because of the memories, it tastes great.
All right, that's awesome. Wow.
What about you though? I know you're traveling, right?
Yeah. I think I'm heading back to the East Coast to see my family, have Thanksgiving with them, take some time to relax. I can't help it. I always love perusing the Black Friday deals as well. In my world, external solid state drives are big. SD cards, anything camera related is always got my eye on. Philips Hue, lighting related. That new Wi-Fi router, perhaps.
Did you buy it?
I think I've decided I'm going to buy it, but the problem is I'm leaving so soon that I don't want to ship it here and have like basically a $300 router sitting on my doorstep for the next like week. So
you need some security cameras, bro.
I have a security camera. I got the Nest doorbell, but like I don't want to like that's not going to stop someone from taking it.
But dude, it's funny you mentioned external storage. I actually just bought a 2 terabyte USB Type C external like SSD drive with like read and write speeds of like 1,500 megabits per second.
Sick. Yeah, that's really nice.
For the MacBook Pro.
Oh yeah, I forgot you got that. I'm a little jealous. But,
dude, you know what's funny is ever since I started my new job, I've been using it less and less and less. It just
it's okay to sell it if you want to. Okay, recoup some of that cash and infuse it in something else.
I have no intentions of selling it.
This is very off topic, but I actually had this realization the other day that I think I should get a gaming laptop. Right? Because here's my problem, Dennis. No, this is serious, okay? My gaming PC has been lying under my bed for the past year. So, of course, naturally, I need a laptop. And anyway, my thinking for getting the laptop is light, portable. I can more easily like slap it on my desk, plug it in, and jump into whatever I jump into. and also portable. Like when I'm traveling is when I have free time, like this Thanksgiving or during the Christmas break, things like that. And I'm not home. And I think just having that like a nice screen built into a nice laptop. And my computer is so old at this point that I think I might actually get better performance on a new gaming laptop than you're like iffy on that.
I mean, you'll get better performance on the laptop probably if you're power plugged in.
It's the battery.
But if you're on battery power, then
I'd have to get the new MacBook Pro for that.
I mean, not necessarily. I mean, your PC is pretty old. It's just like, honestly, like, long story short, a desktop is always going to be more powerful than a laptop.
Yeah. Well, I'm not using the desktop, so that's what got me thinking. Like, oh, man,
I got
like,
the perfect
out.
I got the perfect laptop for you, man. Asus Zephyrus G14.
Wow, that rolls right off the tongue. Of course, I want the small. It's 14.
No, here, let me show you because I was considering.
I've heard good things about Razer. I think
stay away from Razer.
Oh wow, that was a red flag.
I'll
have to do some research on them.
I mean, they're okay, but they're overpriced. And trust me when I say I was literally, if I didn't buy the MacBook, I was gonna buy the Asus Zephyrus.
Gotcha.
It is a beast. It's currently out of stock on Best Buy, which is a real shame.
Is it thin? I kind of want a thin one.
It is very, very thin, which is the reason why I am.
Ooh, Dennis, I like that. Send that over. We got to actually wrap this show up, though, because we're going live for Patreon supporters on the Discord pretty soon.
They won't mind if we're too late. But look,
You mean on time? All right, can we make this bigger? Can you zoom in, please?
Oh, yeah, sure.
I'm looking at this like on a windowed screen on a computer. All right.
The base
14
model.
inches. I like that size. Oh, AMD Ryzen. Awesome. 16 gigs. 2060. Oh, wow. This
terabyte
is
of SSD storage. GeForce RTX 2060 inside, which is last year's GPU, but still great. Great for you. And it's just a well-rounded beast of a machine, dude.
Ooh, HD screen. Not sure how I'm feeling about that.
For gaming, that's fine.
Well, I don't know, man.
It's gonna be used for gaming, dude. It's only $1,000, $1,000.
That's pretty good, actually.
For $1,000, that's a fucking great value. And
yeah.
I mean, yes, you can get better, but you're going to be paying an absolute premium, and I know how you are.
That's true. Yeah.
Plus, you can edit on that, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I need different editing software is the thing. So
not really. Just use freaking what's it? There's plenty
Windows
of free
Movie Maker.
No, there's plenty of free.
Thanks, Dennis. No, it's okay.
All right. Guys, for you guys that are catching this was pre-recorded on the 20th. When you see this, it's probably going to be the day before or the day of Thanksgiving. So with that being said, I want to wish everybody a happy and safe Thanksgiving.
Merry Thanksgiving to everybody.
Merry Thanksgiving. I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope your tummies are full, and we will definitely look forward to seeing you the following week with our normal schedule and doing the after show and everything else.
Absolutely. And I want you to comment what your favorite Thanksgiving food is. Use an emoji. Leave it down in the video description. I'm genuinely curious. I think mine, great question. It's got to be gravy. That's
not a food.
Okay. Yeah, I just drink the gravy. Oh, I don't want to that to come off as too gross. No, I definitely really enjoy just like the gravy on the turkey. And my dad makes this delicious Brussels sprout with bacon dish. I don't know. It's great. Ooh. But
mine honestly, mine is that pretzel like
whatever that thing is. Then it's all right. That's gonna be it for this episode. Thank you all so much. Consider joining the Patreon. We do this live for Patreon supporters, so you can be like Mark and Jonathan here, tuning in live, literally almost a week early at this point. And we have some great perks as well. Also, shout out to these awesome Patreon supporters: Alex, Breaking Data, Carol, Richard, Mark, Nick, Brian, Duncan, and Steve. You guys are awesome, and I hope you're enjoying your Los Mobile discount. Give this video a like, click subscribe. I think I hit all the ending points. I'm Stetson.
And I'm Dennis.
And we look forward to talking to you in the next episode. Peace.